Ethan, your divorce papers have been delivered. Once you both sign, there's a 30-day waiting period before it's finalized. Ethan's face was a mask, dissecting every word as the lawyer uttered them. After a beat of silence, he finally asked, "So, the sooner we sign, the sooner that 30-day clock starts ticking." The lawyer, surprised by Ethan's urgency, confirmed, "That's correct, Ethan." Ethan muttered a thanks and ended the call. He strode to the agency's reception desk and retrieved the thick envelope. Flipping it open, the wall of dense legalese made his head throb, especially the words, "Dissolution of marriage," in stark bold at the top, which drew a humorless laugh from him. "Never thought he'd be here." "Divorce, Ethan, I'm busy tonight." The voice, achingly familiar and still so goddamn captivating, drifted from behind him, but the chill in her tone, the sheer indifference, deepened the right twist of his lips. Had she always been this concise with him, or was it just now with him? "I'm busy tonight." The unspoken, "so I won't be home," hung in the air, a familiar bitter ghost. She couldn't even be bothered to spell it out anymore, right? "Anyway, I've got this release form here. Needs your signature." Ethan was already holding the divorce papers. He flipped through them page by painstaking page right there in front of her, stopping at the signature line designated for Scarlett Fisher. He was being blatant, almost daring her to see. One look, that's all it would take. Just one sideways glance at the header. But Ethan knew she wouldn't. She wouldn't even look because in her eyes, he'd never really been there to begin with. Just a quick signature. "Won't take long," he said, his voice carefully neutral. Ethan held out a pen, and just as he'd predicted, she took it, her mind clearly elsewhere, not a flicker of suspicion in her eyes. Still, Scarlett Fisher, ever the consummate professional, a star who scrutinized every contract, every press release, made sure to scan the document. But then, out of the corner of her eye, she spotted him, a figure striding towards them from across the lobby. And just like that, a vibrant light ignited in her gaze. Fine, she didn't read a word, just scribbled her name, dropped the pen and the papers on the counter as if they were on fire. Then, all long legs and a radiant smile, she practically floated towards the approaching man. Ethan's expression remained impassive, a carefully constructed wall. Only when Scarlett looped her arm through Ryan Asher's, her touch, light and possessive, did a flicker of raw pain cross his eyes. There and gone in an instant. "Ryan, darling, congratulations on a Golden Globe. You totally have to take me out. Tonight, I need some of that winner's luck to rub off on me. If you don't, I'll be seriously offended." Every syllable dripped with a playful charm he'd almost forgotten she possessed. So, she wasn't a woman of few words after all. So, she could still turn on the charm, be playful, even flirtatious. Just not with him, never with him, absolutely. "Hey Ethan, you should join us." But before Ethan could even register the invitation, Scarlett cut in, her voice smooth as silk. "Oh, he's swamped with work. It'll just be us." They walked away, their figures receding, their laughter echoing faintly before disappearing altogether. A final icy shard pierced Ethan's heart and something inside him went numb. But at least she'd signed. That was something. 30 days and then she'd be free. He and Scarlett had married in secret. For the sake of her skyrocketing career, their marriage was a closely guarded secret known only to their parents. No one else, not a soul, not even Ryan Asher, the man who had always been her sun, her moon, her stars. Back then, Ethan was just a junior agent, green and hungry. She was a fresh face at the agency, brimming with talent and ambition. Ethan had fallen for her the moment he saw her. He'd pursued her for 3 long years, relentlessly, passionately, but she'd never given him the time of day. He hadn't been bitter, just resigned. He figured he just wasn't her type, not good enough for someone like her. Then, out of the blue, she'd said yes. Not just yes to a date, but yes to everything. She'd practically dragged him down to the county clerk's office. No wedding, no reception, not even a celebratory dinner. Just a piece of paper that declared them husband and wife. Her reason was plausible enough. She was an actress on the rise. A secret marriage was better for her image, for her career. Ethan, working in the industry, understood the logic or told himself he did. The sheer unexpected joy of it had overwhelmed any flicker of doubt. He thought fate had finally smiled on him. Later, the truth had hit him like a sucker punch. She'd always been in love with Ryan Asher. The day Ryan Asher had his fairy tale wedding splashed across every entertainment blog and magazine was the exact same day Scarlett had rushed Ethan to the courthouse. The reason didn't need to be spelled out. The pain had been excruciating, a constant throb in his chest. But God, he loved her. He'd clung to the hope, the desperate belief that one day, somehow he could make her love him back. 2 years, they'd lived a lie for 2 years. She never fell in love with him. They maintained the facade of a marriage, a hollow imitation of the real thing. Ethan had slowly descended into a quiet despair, resigning himself to this half-life. It wasn't a real marriage, but she was there physically at least. He told himself it was enough. Being near her, even like this, was better than nothing. Then, last month, the news broke. Ryan Asher's wife had been caught cheating. They were getting divorced, and that's when Ethan understood just how catastrophically wrong he'd been about everything. From that day forward, Scarlett's gaze, previously distant or preoccupied, now held only one person, Ryan Asher. The light in her eyes, a light he hadn't seen in 2 long years, blazed back to life. A light reserved solely for Ryan. Watching Scarlett and Ryan disappear down the corridor, their laughter a fading echo, Ethan took a deep, ragged breath. A smile, surprisingly genuine, touched his lips, a smile of release. One more month, then he'd be free of this sham marriage and free of her, the woman who had never, not for a single moment, loved him back. Ethan drove home to an empty house. The silence of the condo, usually a refuge, now felt oppressive. His gaze swept over the space, dull and lifeless. Scarlett was probably out with Ryan right now, wasn't she? Laughing, drinking, celebrating his win. Maybe if the mood was right, they'd end up spending an unforgettable night together. The kind he'd only ever dreamed of with her. He could live with that. He had too. She'd never truly been his anyway. The divorce was inevitable. He was just accelerating the process. This way, at least he could walk away with some shred of dignity intact. If she had been the one to serve him papers, to demand he leave, that would have shattered him completely. Ethan started packing. If he was leaving, he was going to do it properly. A clean break. He didn't expect her back. But just after midnight, the sound of the front door opening startled him. Scarlett was home. She strolled in, a tired but genuine smile on her face, and then her eyes landed on Ethan, surrounded by boxers. What's all this? You reorganizing something? A jolt of panic shot through Ethan. He scrambled for an excuse. Just getting rid of some old stuff. Scarlett just hummed in acknowledgement, didn't spare the boxers a second glance, and headed upstairs. If she had just looked, just one curious peek, she would have seen they were his things. All his things, the few possessions he actually cherished. But then, there had never been much room for him in her world. Had there? Still Ethan stopped packing. He sank onto the couch, the energy draining out of him. With her home, it was awkward. He couldn't very well continue. Besides, she had an early call time tomorrow. He didn't want to disturb her. She probably wouldn't appreciate the noise, the disruption. He knew how she valued her sleep. He just settled on the couch, resigned to a sleepless night there, when Scarlett reappeared, now in silk pajamas. "Why are you sleeping out here?" she asked, a slight frown creasing her brow. The sofa. What was he doing? He always insisted on sleeping in their bed. Always wanted to hold her, even when she subtly pulled away. Sometimes he'd plead, his voice soft in the darkness until she'd relent with a sigh. "You're a light sleeper. Didn't want to wake you," Ethan mumbled. The lie. Tasting like ash in his mouth, Scarlett didn't question it, just nodded. "The couch can't be comfortable. Come to bed." Ethan didn't argue. He didn't want her suspecting anything. Not yet. Not in this last month. A quiet exit. That's all he wanted. But as soon as he settled into bed, a familiar warmth beside him, Scarlett shifted. Her hand, small and unexpectedly bold, drifted onto his chest. He drew a sharp breath, his body tensing. Gently, he removed her hand. It was the first time he'd ever pushed her away. Scarlett stilled, a flicker of confusion in her eyes in the dim light. "Are you mad at me about tonight? Ryan won that award, and I just wanted to celebrate with him." It wasn't anything more. It was an explanation. A rare offering from her, almost unheard of. "No, just tired," Ethan said, his voice flat. Another excuse. Scarlett didn't press. Instead, she took his hand, the one that had pushed hers away, and guided it to her waist. Snuggling closer, she found her usual comfortable spot, her head resting on his chest, and soon her breathing evened out into sleep. Dawn crept through the blinds. Ethan hadn't slept a wink. He got up, moving stiffly, and went to the kitchen to make her breakfast, a ritual he performed even now. Scarlett, however, had slept soundly. She came down looking refreshed, and as she ate the toast and fruit he'd prepared, she asked about her schedule for the day. As her agent, her husband in name only, but always her agent, Ethan meticulously ran through her appointments. "Got it. Oh, by the way, that release form I signed yesterday. What was that for exactly? I'd like to take a proper look." She was always meticulous about her work. It wasn't that she didn't trust Ethan, she just liked to be across every detail. Ethan's stomach clenched. He fought to keep his expression neutral, just to stand her appearance waver. Nothing to worry about. Scarlett didn't pick up on his tension, but she was firm. "Still, I'd like to see it. Just so I know what I've agreed to." Ethan hesitated for a long moment. Then, with a sigh that felt like it came from the depths of his soul, he retrieved the divorce papers from his briefcase. He had no idea how she'd react. Anger, relief, indifference. As she took the thick document, her brow furrowed in mild confusion. Ethan's heart hammered against his ribs. And then, just as she was about to open it, Scarlett's phone buzzed on the counter. It was Ryan. Of course, it was Ryan. "Scarlett, hey, I need a huge favor." We're shooting a magazine cover kind of last minute, and it's a couple's theme, so it might get a little cozy. You free? Ryan's voice, smooth and persuasive through the phone, cut through the morning quiet. Scarlett didn't hesitate. Her face lit up, all traces of the document in her hand forgotten. Absolutely. For you, Ryan, anything. I'm on my way. Ethan opened his mouth. A protest, an excuse forming on his lips. He didn't want to see this. His wife, still legally his wife, getting cozy with another man, even with the divorce papers signed by him and waiting for her. The thought was a fresh stab of pain. But Scarlett, already halfway to the door, called back. Ethan, you're coming too, right? I'll need you there. The photo studio was a hive of activity. Ryan, looking every bit the movie star in a sharp modern suit, was already there. Scarlett emerged from wardrobe a few minutes later, breathtaking in a designer gown that clung to her curves. Together, they were dazzling, the perfect couple, like they were born to be in front of a camera side by side. More chemistry. Get closer. You too, the photographer yelled, his voice booming. Ryan, arm around her waist. Pull her in. Show that protective, she's mine vibe. Think of her as the love of your life. Scarlett, darling, give me that look. Adoration like he's the only man in the world. I want to see sparks fly between you. If you're not feeling it, lean in, get right up close, almost kissing. Yes, that's it. The photographer barked directions, a relentless stream of them, and with each instruction, Scarlett and Ryan moved closer, their bodies brushing, their poses more intimate. There were moments they were plastered against each other, lips a hair's breadth apart, the air crackling with manufactured passion. Ethan watched, a bitter taste in his mouth. He saw the genuine joy sparkling in Scarlett's eyes, the faint blush on her cheeks. This wasn't just acting for her. She was happy, truly, undeniably happy. The shoot lasted 3 hours. For Scarlett and Ryan, the time probably flew by. For Ethan, each minute stretched into an agonizing eternity. It was just a job. He told himself you shouldn't read into it. But the truth, the cold, hard truth, was Scarlett had always refused to do these kinds of shoots with other male celebrities. She'd built her brand on her talent, not on manufactured romance or racy photo spreads. She'd always said she wanted to be known for her acting, not for her looks or for drumming up tabloid rumors, and for years, she'd stuck to that, impressively so. But for Ryan Asher, she broke all her rules, willingly, eagerly even. That was the part that twisted the knife in Ethan's gut. But it didn't matter, not anymore. The month would be over soon. She wouldn't be his problem any longer. Her beauty, her smiles, her exclusive attention, it would all belong to Ryan. After the shoot, Ethan drove Scarlett home in silence. The entire ride, she was glued to her phone, a delighted smile playing on her lips as she scrolled through the raw photos from the shoot with Ryan. Even back at their condo, she curled up on the sofa, completely absorbed. Swiping through image after image, Ethan didn't disturb her. He went back to his packing. Whatever he could take, he would. What he couldn't, he'd leave for her. Whether she kept it or threw it out, that would be her decision. Except for the wedding photo that couldn't stay, but he wouldn't take it with him either. He would destroy it. He lifted their framed wedding portrait from the wall. Glancing back, he saw Scarlett still lost in her own world. Oblivious, Ethan carried the photo out to the small patio. He placed it on the concrete, picked up a hammer he'd retrieved from the garage, and brought it down again and again until the glass shattered and the image of their smiling faces was a mangled ruin. Just as he was about to douse it with lighter fluid and set it ablaze, Scarlett noticed. "What are you doing?" She ran out, her face a mask of astonishment, staring at Ethan, then at the demolished photo, waiting for an explanation. "It was damaged. Figured I'd get rid of it." Ethan said the excuse was flimsy. It wasn't the photo that was broken though. It was their marriage. No, that wasn't right. Their marriage had been broken from the start. He'd just been the one trying to patch it up, hold it together for all these years. Now, he couldn't hold on any longer. Naturally, it had shattered completely. Scarlett sensed something was very wrong. Her voice was uncertain, questioning. "Damn, Ethan, what on earth are you really doing?" Scarlett was a smart woman. Even if Ethan was trying to cover his tracks, she still sensed something was amiss. It had a crack. If I left it hanging, it would have fallen and broken eventually. And if I just tossed it in the trash like this, someone might see it, misunderstand, think we were married. So, smashing it, burning it, no one will ever find out. Ethan layered his second lie onto his first. A lie Scarlett couldn't easily refute. And as he expected, her icy glare softened and she gave a small nod. "Right, good. I've been meaning to take that thing down for ages. Anyway, it was an eyesore." A fresh pang of pain shot through Ethan. It wasn't the photo she found unsightly. It was her marriage to him. She just hadn't said it outright, and he believed with certainty that in a month a new wedding photo would hang in its place. Hers and Ryan's, but then Scarlett's next words threw him for a loop. "We'll need to arrange for a new one to be taken. You can schedule it." He looked at Scarlett, completely baffled. A new one? Is there really any point? Scarlett looked equally puzzled. Isn't there? Ethan shook his head. I don't think so. The suspicion that had briefly subsided in Scarlett's mind now surged back, stronger than before. She frowned, her eyes fixed on Ethan. What do you mean by that? The wedding photo is ruined. Shouldn't we get a new one? She took a step closer. To Ethan, then another, until she was standing right in front of him. Her eyes, bright and sharp as distant stars, bored into Ethan's increasingly flustered face. No, something's wrong. Ethan, are you hiding something from me? Her relentless questioning made Ethan's heart pound even harder. Was this it? Was he about to be found out? But just then, her phone pinged. A new message flashed on the screen, breaking her intense gaze. Ethan saw the notification, too. It was from her best friend, Chloe. Scarlett, free tonight. Ages since we all got together. Let's grab dinner, just us girls. P.S. Everyone's bringing their boyfriends. Isn't it about time you brought yours too? Winky face. Scarlett had kept her marriage a secret, but with her closest friends, it seemed she'd only managed to keep half the truth hidden. Ethan had heard her mention it before. Her friends were always trying to set her up with guys outside the industry, determined to get their celebrity sister out of her supposed single status. Overwhelmed, she'd eventually claimed to be secretly dating someone, except they'd been married. For 2 years, her friends had asked to meet this mysterious boyfriend countless times, but she'd always managed to put them off with one excuse or another. His official status to them and the world was merely her agent. They want to meet me, Ethan tried to sound casual, hoping to deflect from the near discovery of the divorce papers. He wasn't ready to tell Scarlett about the divorce. Not yet. Scarlett, brow furrowed, a flicker of hesitation in her eyes that stung Ethan more than he'd admit. It was like a knife already lodged in his chest, being twisted deeper. No. The knife had always been there. This just plunged it further. Just kidding. Better, they don't know. What if it leaks? Wouldn't be good. Ethan forced down the wave of pain, schooling his features into his usual accommodating expression, offering a gentle refusal, giving her an out. He didn't want to make her uncomfortable. He didn't want to watch her squirm as she tried to come up with a reason to say no to him. It was easier if he took the initiative. Scarlett visibly relaxed, readily going along with his suggestion. Yeah, since you put it that way, maybe next time. Ethan didn't reply. A bitter, silent laugh echoed in his mind. There wouldn't be a next time. Soon, you won't have to hide anything anymore. Once the waiting period is over, you can proudly tell the whole world your boyfriend is Ryan Asher, not Ethan Miller. Scarlett went to her friend's get-together. Her group of girlfriends was clearly not happy that she'd shown up alone again. Seriously, Scarlett, how long are you going to keep him a secret? You have to bring him out tonight or we're officially breaking up with you. Under intense pressure from her friends, Scarlett forced a smile and reluctantly picked up her phone. She stared at Ethan's contact, her thumb hovering over the call button, but at the last second, she hesitated. Instead, she scrolled down, found Ryan Asher's number, and dialed. Before long, Ryan Asher walked into their private dining room. The moment her friends saw Ryan, they shrieked with excitement. None of them had ever imagined that the boyfriend Scarlett had kept hidden for years was Ryan Asher. But a question nagged at them. Ryan had just gotten divorced, hadn't he? Could it be that Scarlett had been carrying a torch for him all this time, unrequited? Thinking this, her friends felt even happier for Scarlett, raising their glasses in a toast. They gushed about how true love always finds a way, and how hard it must have been for her. By the way, Miss Fisher, your agent, Mr. Miller, is he going through a divorce? Just then, the boyfriend of one of her closest friends, a lawyer named Ben, suddenly spoke up. Divorce? What do you mean? Scarlett's heart lurched, a bad feeling washing over her. Ben, oblivious, explained why he brought it up. Mr. Miller hired our firm to draft his divorce agreement. The process has already started. Before I came, I had no idea the famous actress my girlfriend was talking about was you. Since you're such good friends, there's no need for the legal fee. Of course, her friend chimed in. I just found out too. Scarlett, Ben said Ethan is planning to walk away with nothing. You should talk to him. Tell him not to be so rash. If it really goes to court, Ben can definitely help him. His firm is really good. Ben nodded eagerly. Exactly, I'm willing to help him. They chatted on, but Scarlett didn't hear a single word. Excuse me. She rushed out of the private room and immediately called Ethan. Ethan Miller, what is the meaning of this? You're getting a divorce. Ethan couldn't believe she'd found out something as huge as a divorce, and you didn't even tell me. If my friend's boyfriend wasn't your lawyer and hadn't brought it up tonight, I'd still be completely in the dark. I can't believe you want to divorce me and walk away with nothing. Scarlett yelled, her voice thick with emotion. Ethan didn't understand why she was reacting this way. Even if she knew, she should be happy, right? Why was she interrogating him? But Ethan calmly lied. It's not me, it's a friend of mine. You've misunderstood. Scarlett naturally wasn't so easily convinced. especially given Ethan's strange behavior lately. Scarlett, are you on the phone with Ethan? Ryan, noticing Scarlett had been gone for a while, had followed her out. His voice carried through the phone, reaching Ethan's ears. Just for a fleeting moment, Ethan had actually thought Scarlett didn't want to divorce him. An absurd idea had even flashed through his mind. Maybe I should try holding on a little longer. Perhaps you'll fall in love with me. Accept me. But Ryan's voice shattered his fantasy because he knew Scarlett had gone to her friend's party. She hadn't invited him. She'd invited Ryan. That was the clearest answer. Scarlett hadn't expected Ryan to follow her out. She looked flustered, momentarily speechless. But just then, a calm laugh came from the other end of the line. It was a laugh, but it sounded so incredibly cold. You're busy. I won't interrupt your party. Goodbye. Physical trauma is the destruction of the body, a signal transmitted to the brain forming a physiological sensation. Emotional trauma is catalyzed by feelings transmitted to the brain forming a neurological reaction. Both hurt intensely, but physical trauma can be repaired, the pain permanently eliminated. Emotional trauma, however, even if mended, leaves a scar that never truly heals. Recalling it will always bring a dull ache. But Ethan, hanging up the phone at that moment, didn't feel the pain as sharply. What he felt was a profound exhaustion. Hearing Ryan's voice over the phone, he felt an urge to escape this world. Even though he knew that in less than a month he could leave Scarlett, he still wanted to flee. Now driving his car, the gentle breeze should have been refreshing. But Ethan felt a creeping chill seeping into his skin, into his bones. So cold. So very cold. He drove aimlessly, heading in the opposite direction from home, as if he could escape that suffocating world. He didn't know why this waiting period had to be so long. It stretched before him like an endless century. He wished he could just wake up and it would be a month later. Then he could quietly disappear. The turmoil in his heart transferred to his foot on the accelerator. He didn't notice the increasing speed of the car. By the time he snapped back to reality, it was too late. After the ear-piercing screech of brakes against asphalt, there was a deafening crash. His car had slammed into the median barrier. The front end was mangled, and a shard of twisted metal had pierced his thigh. Blood gushed out, unstoppable. Gritting his teeth against the searing pain, Ethan calmly pulled out his phone and called for an ambulance. His composure saved his leg, but it still required 20 stitches. The doctor told Ethan to contact his family. With a leg stitched up like that, he'd be immobile and would need care. Ethan called Scarlett over 10 times, but without exception, she didn't answer. Right now, she must be immersed in her own happiness. Probably wouldn't have time for him. Sir, your wife, you can't reach her. The doctor's question drew a bitter smile from Ethan. We're about to get divorced. She probably won't come. Could you help me arrange for a caregiver, please? Thank you. The doctor sighed, shook his head helplessly, and arranged for a home health aide to look after Ethan. The aide was a woman in her early 40s. Seeing Ethan's pitiful state, she couldn't help but grumble. Even if you're getting divorced, coming to take care of him for a bit wouldn't kill her. What a heartless woman. Heartless. Recalling the past 2 years, bit by bit, Ethan could only remain silent. For her career, Ethan had pulled strings. Even drank himself into a hospital visit with a perforated stomach to secure an opportunity for her. Yet, he hadn't dared to disturb her work. Under the high pressure of her intense work schedule, she suffered from poor sleep. Ethan, his heart aching for her, would soak her feet before bed every night. Under her disdainful gaze, he'd wear an eager to please smile and massage her pressure points. Whatever she liked, Ethan would strive to provide. He'd prepare gifts for her, create surprises, comfort her every disappointment, praise her every success. Yet her response to Ethan was, always just to curt words. Thank you. From beginning to end, there was no love between them. It was just his own unrequited devotion, sustaining an impossible love. 2 years, 730 days, 17,520 hours, 1,051,200 minutes, 63,072,000 seconds, all screaming that she didn't love him. Even if she knew he was injured, she probably wouldn't leave Ryan's side for him. And the truth, as it turned out, was exactly that. It took a full week before she heard the news and came to the hospital. Seeing Ethan lying in the hospital bed, she began to reproach him. Something this serious, why didn't you tell me? Faced with her blame, Ethan just felt incredibly tired. He didn't want to explain, nor did he want to mention the dozen unanswered calls. Didn't want to worry you. Ethan forced a smile, his response still aimed at being understanding. Scarlett felt a wave of self-reproach and guilt. Sitting beside him, she couldn't help but explain. That day, I just ran into Ryan, unexpectedly. In these past few days, I've been swamped with work. I didn't think about you. Her explanations were even more jarring. Ethan didn't want to hear them. He cut her off. I understand, you don't need to explain so much. Scarlett's expression softened with even more apology, and a rare, faint smile touched her lips. Thank you. Ethan smiled, too. No need to thank me. It's what I should do. Before, It was because she was the woman he loved that Ethan could be understanding and not fuss. Now, on the verge of divorce, it was even more important to leave each other with some dignity. There was no need to fuss. Scarlett listened to his words, unchanged as always, unable to discern that their meaning had long since soured, but the guilt in her heart grew stronger. Ethan, give me some time. I'll announce our marriage as soon as possible. I'll let everyone know that you're my husband. Okay. Ethan didn't know why she suddenly said this, but it was too late. Okay, yet he still lied, responding to her. I have something else to do, so I can't take care of you. She left him with those words, departing in a hurry. But Ethan saw as she picked up her phone. The screen flashed with an incoming call from Ryan Asher. She was leaving for him again, abandoning him, who needed care. This wasn't the first time. He was used to it. Having been in a car accident, Ethan naturally didn't have to go to work, but his resignation letter was already prepared. Once the month was up, he could leave for good, leaving without a trace, as if he had never been there. The days passed one by one. Lying in his hospital bed, Ethan felt an unprecedented sense of peace. 1 day, 2 days, more than half a month went by. His injury hadn't fully healed, but he could be discharged. However, Scarlett didn't come to pick him up from the hospital. Since that one visit, she hadn't shown her face again. All he saw of her were updates on her social media and the newly published magazine. Page after page of her and Ryan, the picture per couple. There were even tabloid rumors fueled by the agency's PR machine, and all of this she used to detest. But now she remained silent, as if tacitly accepting it all. Ethan didn't care. He was counting down the days. 3 more days. Ethan returned home. The house was cold and empty. There was no trace of her recent presence. It felt like a house that had been deserted for a long time. It seemed while he was away, she had been truly busy. Ethan arranged for a new place to live, called a moving truck, and began taking all his belongings. Unexpectedly, Scarlett returned at that moment. She dragged her exhausted body through the door, only to see Ethan busy packing. You're back. A flash of surprise, then pleasure crossed her eyes, but seeing the boxers, confusion replaced it. Are we moving? She never interfered with household matters. Ethan always arranged everything. Yes, Ethan lied again. Why are we moving? Isn't it comfortable here? Scarlett leaned against the sofa, wearily rubbing her shoulders and moving to a more comfortable place. Ethan replied calmly. If she cared even a tiny bit, she would have noticed that what was being moved was all his stuff. But she would never see it. By the way, are you free in 3 days? That day. Scarlett paused, then smiled and nodded. No problem. Is it our housewarming? I'll have time. But her words made Ethan feel even more bitter. That day wasn't a housewarming. It was their wedding anniversary, but she had forgotten completely. Okay, I'll wait for you. Ethan said nothing more, continuing to pack his things. Scarlett said nothing either. Tired, she went upstairs to sleep. 3 days passed in a flash. This was also the last day of Ethan and Scarlett's marriage. To be precise, after 6 o'clock in the evening, they would no longer be husband and wife. Ethan wanted to have one last dinner with her, a farewell dinner. After busily preparing a table full of dishes, he called her. Sorry, Ethan. Ryan suddenly has something urgent. I have to go. Wait for me. I'll be back soon. Ethan wasn't surprised at all. She could forget their wedding anniversary. What more could he expect? He had done all this simply because he didn't want to leave with regrets. Okay. But in the end, it still became a regret. He waited until 6 o'clock, but Scarlett still hadn't appeared. Ethan's expression was calm. He had long accepted all of this. He gently placed the divorce agreement on the table. He also left a letter, the last letter he would write to her. He took one last lingering look at the place where he had once lived. Bits and pieces of memories floated in his mind. Ultimately, they only turned into a sigh of regret. Scarlett Fisher, you're free. In the future, we don't need to see each other again. In the future, I wish you happiness. With those words, Ethan turned and walked away without looking back. He opened the door and left.